How are we doing, everybody? Here we go. How is everybody? So we've got, hi Brent, Dan, Doug, Evgeny, Coldo, hi Kevin, hey Julie, hey Steve. Yeah, so we have amazing weather here in the UK, and I've just noticed how red my face is from sitting outside during my breaks in the studio session today. So it's been absolutely incredible. We've got Dan from Seattle, Donna from Tucson, Arizona, Joe Henley. Hi, Joe from Birmingham. So we've got questions. So we've got a load of pre-prepared questions to answer tonight, and I think we're also going to take some live as well. But that's all going to be monitored by our live Q&A team. So I think we'll just wait for a couple more people to come on. We've got a really busy Q&A tonight. It's so fantastic to see everybody coming from all over the world. This has been my vision right from the very beginning, to have a global community of songwriters. So I really hope you're all communicating with each other and starting to do some co-write sessions. Remember, you can start your co-writes, certainly all of the brainstorming stuff, you can start that on Skype. And there are other platforms as well. Apparently Zoom is a really good platform with less lag on it as well, so you can even do the musical stuff. But this is your playground. You've got, excuse me, I have a cold, and I've also got a deaf ear because my ear exploded on the aeroplane. So I'm doing this with one ear. But yeah, you've got hundreds of people all around the world in this amazing community that has built up so quickly. So spread the word, get more people into this community. And the great thing about it is that everybody is completely focused and like-minded. It's none of those naysayers out there that say you can't do this, there's not enough money in the music business. The people that don't have dreams and don't want you to have yours. This community is full of like-minded people that all want to have success and that want to write a great song and are willing to learn and willing to work at it. And so this is why you just got to talk to everybody, get onto the community every day, listen to songs, and hook up with people that you feel you could vibe with. And just on that collaboration, don't feel that you have to find somebody that does exactly the same style as you. Sometimes it's really cool to collaborate with people that do something completely different to you. So you may be like a folk artist that writes with a rock artist, and suddenly you've got this really cool sort of fusion of the two things, a sort of song that neither of you would have written individually, but you both love, and it brings a little bit of both those elements in there. So it really expands your horizons as a writer, expands your catalog, makes it more diverse, so you can have more success from that. And I've written with people that are from the classical world, from rock, pop, R&B, EDM, urban, just country, right across the board. And that makes my catalog really diverse. So when opportunities come up, I'm able to have a song ready to pitch for an artist that I guess previously I wouldn't have been able to if I'd just been writing by myself. I wouldn't want a catalog of 1,000 Martin songs. There's a bit of Martin in all of them, but they're really diverse. So absolutely wonderful to be part of this. We've got one of our Dearly beloved in the UK, Jo Henley is going to be in Florida, and I see that she's just messaged Chet just to say that she's going to be there. Could be a co-write. Remember that every time you travel, get onto the community and see who's in the place you're traveling to, because you know you're going to work with somebody it's going to be beneficial to both of you. So so the global vision grows. We're getting there, and I can't wait until we have tens of thousands of people all over the world that are communicating, writing hit songs, and people are going to be able to say it's because of Songwriting Academy. So thank you all. I think we should probably crack on with the first question. So the first question is from John Toffelmeyer. This is a great question. Is there a market for old style tunes? The course promotes writing modern music. My goal as a writer is not for the top 10 charts yet, although I realize the elements of a good song in any genre share many of the same elements. Yeah, my interests lie more with older styles that move me. So your thoughts? My goal whenever I go into a songwriting session, John, is to write the very, very best song I possibly can. And I don't worry about genre. Sometimes I go for the pop thing. The course, really, I just want to sort of backtrack a little bit and just say that the courses were designed not to be genre driven. We may use some pop examples, but we'll also use examples like Cole Porter. And because we can learn from all of these, it's really about the sort of techniques that appeal to the human emotion, the human condition, and that the brain will respond to. So when we talk about different types of melodies, they work right across the board. If you've seen the course on where it talks about melodic form, and then I do a section on spikes, having spikes in melodies. And you'll find this in pop music, but you'll also find it in classical music. You'll find it in country, old style Cole Porter stuff, right through to modern day. So the courses that we're putting forward, although we use pop examples, don't let that put you off. Still use these techniques because they apply right across the board. But John, I absolutely think you should do what your heart tells you to do. But use these elements so they're going to be as attractive to the listener as possible, because that's what we want to do. You may not want to go for the charts, but if you want to play your song to people, you want them to respond favorably, especially if it's strangers. You want them to go, oh my God, I absolutely love that song. And they can't stop singing it because it's got elements of repetition in it as well. That's not just a pop thing. So, write whatever you feel you want to write, but if you start including these elements, then you'll end up with songs that for you may satisfy that itch. They may scratch the itch of being of the older style of song. However, sometimes a great song is just all about window dressing, and a really great song, you can do it in an old style, you can do it in a pop style, a country style. That's more the production side of it. And so really just do exactly what you want. The other thing to know about what people call older style of songs is that think about other opportunities for them. For example, okay, so the US and the UK charts are very, very pop driven. But if you look at the Russian charts, for example, then you'll find that they're significant. They're not so up to date as the UK and US charts. And there are artists over there releasing songs that would have been absolutely prevalent in the 1980s and 1990s. So look at other markets around the world and see where your songs might fit. You've also got artists like Michael Bublé, as an example, who has that more mainstream, older style of songwriting that he likes to perform. And you've got older artists as well that would do other types of songs. For example, one of my songs has just been picked up by Cliff Richard. So, you know, he may not be the youngest artist in the UK, but he's got a massive fan base. And so him doing that song, I'm really, really happy he's going to do it. But it's not a modern pop song. It's just a song. So look at older artists. There's plenty of them out there. Look at different regions as well. And also look at, think about movies, for example. Now, not all movies are set in 2018. All of the movies that have been made this year won't necessarily be set in 2018. Some of them will be set back in the 50s, 60s, even earlier, 30s, 40s, even medieval times, who knows? And they're all looking for songs that are relevant to that period. The film companies don't necessarily want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy songs that are currently, very, very popular songs, where to actually purchase the rights to use those songs. It can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that. But they'll want sound-alike songs of that era, songs that would fit into that era. So there's another opportunity there. And we're going to be talking more as the Academy builds. We've got somebody lined up to talk about getting your songs into TV and movies as well. So there's plenty of opportunities out there for every type of song. And I always say that go with your gut instinct. If you wake up one morning and you want to write a song that's like a Charleston kind of ragtimey feel, then do it, because chances are 6 months down the line, you'll see a brief for a movie saying, we're looking for a Charleston type song, and you'll be able to say, I've got one, and you'll be first out the gate. So go with your gut instinct, but use the techniques, because they will make people listen to your song and they'll make people remember your song. So I hope that answers your question, John. But I'm all for it. You've got to follow your heart. You can't be disingenuous. So the next question, please. So this is from Erwin Cruz. With regards to song titles, since the title of the song is usually included in the chorus, as shown in so many popular songs, when it comes to the goal of writing a hit song or great song, how important is having the song title become part of a song's chorus? And should song titles be as unique as possible in order to stand out? So there's two questions here, and I'll answer the second one first. In my opinion, song titles should be as unique as possible. To stand out to the people that we're sending it to that don't know us and that don't have a vested interest in listening to our song unless we make them. And so much has been said already in the songwriting world. So many of these thoughts, especially when we're talking about universal themes like love, which is the most universal theme in songwriting. We've heard I Love You or You Broke My Heart. We've heard all of these types of songs. So one of our biggest challenges is to find a new way to say something that has been said many, many times before and will continue to be said over and over again. So the more unique you can be with your song titles, the better it absolutely is. In the song that I included in the choruses and hooks course, one of my songs is called Michelangelo. And when I heard the original idea about Michelangelo, that he had help to do his painting, I just immediately fell in love with the idea of having a song called Michelangelo. But it's a love song. It's basically saying, look, I'm trying to save this relationship, but I can't do it on my own. And which has been said probably thousands of times before, but not with the title of Michelangelo. And I think that when a record company sees or a publisher or an artist or a manager sees a song title that is and peaks this, they're more likely to hit play on it. So yeah, I would strongly advise trying to be as unique as possible with your song titles. Think outside the box and surprise people. In terms of whether it should be included in the chorus or not, the reason it happens so much is because that's usually the line that we want people to remember the most. And the chorus is often where we put the most repetition. So over having the title of the song in the chorus, it doesn't have the place where we're majorly associated with the song title. And that's often the place where we'll have the most, wow, that's a massive B. That's often the place where we'll have the most repetition. And we want people to remember our title. So you don't have to, there are no rules about this, but the reason it happens so much is because it works. So thank you for that question, Erwin. Let's go for the next question. Wow, there's so many people on board here. This is great. From Anthony Lawrence. Great. Love your song, Anthony. Really good. Hey, Martin, would you be able to team up with one or two publishing services and set up a platform for people who are ready or finished all of the course within this platform so that we can post our songs and allow someone from the services to go through the songs in a personal yet private setting. If a song has been chosen, then an email will be sent to the owner of the song. All the publishing services can post what they're looking for, and we can all submit. So also, this will be another way for someone from the publishing service to have someone to teach us about how the publishing service works. So we are going to be putting up a course about publishing. The thing about publishers that we need to remember is that they're incredibly busy people, and most of the time that they will accept songs from what we call a trusted source. So, for example, and the same with record labels as well. So I have publishers around the world that will listen to my songs because I'm a trusted source, and they've seen that I've had my songs recorded by people, or they've enabled me to get my songs recorded by artists that they've been pitching to. In terms of publishers actually getting actively looking for songs, they get sent so many songs that it's a fairly rare occurrence, I believe, for a publisher to be searching online for songs. That said, I would love to get some publishers involved with the Academy. So every now and then they can dip in and do it. But there's going to be no guarantee that they're going to listen to every song on there, because they simply don't have time, because they get so many thousands of songs. I'll give you an example of the amount of time, for example, that a record label has. One of our mentors, Ian Dench, was the VP of Epic Records in New York. And he said to me that he got sent, literally, hundreds, maybe 1,000 songs a week. And he said, if I didn't like a song, I'd listen to maybe, I might get to 20 or 30 seconds of it. He said, even if we did like a song and we thought it would be good for whichever artist was looking for a song, we would only listen just past the first chorus. We'd listen to like a minute and a half of the song, and then we'd say, okay, that's great, we'll come back to it. So that gives you an idea of how much or how little time they have to be able to do this. I would love to include publishing in this, and I'm going to be talking to our publishers and seeing if we can not only get publishers on board to listen to songs, but also to share some briefs when they come through for songs. Yes, it's a work in progress, and we'll see what we can do, but I just want you to understand how the publishing services work and how little time they have to do things. So I don't want to raise amazing expectations that they'll have somebody looking at our site with hundreds of songs on it every single day and going through them all, because they simply won't have time. But the cream always rises to the top. So when there's a great song, for instance, Anthony, I loved your song, so I'm going to play that to people I know and point them in your direction because I thought it was a great song. So it's a meritocracy out there. So write great stuff and it will still find a home. Great question, Anthony, and we're going to be looking more into that. I want to give you guys every opportunity that we can, but I'm constrained by the boundaries of how people go about their jobs as well. Fantastic. Next, from Razvan. Hi again. My question for this webinar is more like a proposal. How about a part of the Q&A to be a critique of 2 to 3 songs at my choice from the songs submitted by members, in which to analyze them, show the creators what's good, what's bad, and maybe what could be improved to get a really good song out of it. In this way, we can all learn practical ways to improve our writing style. I think this is a great idea. I really, really like this idea. And I'd like to do this with another mentor involved as well. So you can get a couple of different opinions about the songs. But I think it's a fabulous idea, as long as you guys are happy with the thought that it may not be your song that's chosen. And some people are just being people, and they may turn around and say, well, it's not my song, I won't tune into this webinar. But honestly, Raz, you're absolutely right. If you really listen to a critique of someone else's song, you can learn so much. And you can also learn a hell of a lot by critiquing other people's songs yourself, and really thinking about it with a critical ear. I don't mean in a way that you're just going to point out all of the things that are wrong, but trying to work out what you love about a song and what you don't like about a song. And that's a brilliant way to learn. And I'd suggest you all get online and, listen to whatever Spotify charts you want of whatever genre, whatever era, and maybe have a notebook and write down all of the things that you love about a song, and then something that bugs you about the song. And then you'll probably start to identify things that you may have been doing with the songs of yours that aren't successful, or the songs of yours that are more successful. So it's great to listen to other people's songs with a critical ear. And I would be very, very happy to do this. As long as you guys are happy to just be looking at 3 or 4 songs that aren't necessarily yours, I'd love to do it. So really good suggestion, Raz. Cool. What do we have next? So this is from Jonathan Michaels. I watched an interview with a well-known 90s Britpop songwriter. He said that due to the internet, you can't really hide good music these days. Not quite sure what that means, but if it's good, it will be discovered. So is success just about writing great songs and getting them heard, or is it also about a large number of other factors like connections, luck, etc.? Okay, so there's a couple of things to point out here. If you are an artist, then I do recommend putting your songs online because you're promoting yourself as an artist. As a songwriter, and I had an email about this week from one of our other members. As a songwriter, I don't put my stuff online. And the reason I don't do it is that some artists will consider it, and some territories will consider it a release. In the olden days, a release used to be a vinyl record or a CD, and it was a physical product. And there wasn't the internet. But today, there is a perception that if something is put onto Facebook or YouTube or SoundCloud where it's public, that counts as a release. And one of the territories I'm thinking of in particular is Japan. And so when we get briefs, one of our sub-publishers in Japan will send us a brief, and it will say this: any submissions must not have been released anywhere on the internet, and they won't record the song with their artist if it's been released elsewhere. I've also had a song of mine refused by Michael Bublé, apparently because it had been previously released. So I don't need the public to hear my songs, and the public, I guess it would be a very lucky and pleasant thing if members of the public heard a song and happened to know someone in the music business that was looking for a song just like that. But generally, the publishers and record labels, again, they're looking for songs from a trusted source. So what I do is I put my songs up on SoundCloud, on a private SoundCloud page. And when I meet somebody in the music business that I want to share my music with, and to have them see if my songs are suitable for their artists, then I will send them a private link so they can still do that. Again, record labels will be looking for artists online, but publishers don't really look for songs. They don't scour the internet looking for songs that might be available, because they're being sent lots of songs from trusted sources. I guess it's different opinions. You know, maybe it's working for this Britpop songwriter, but the factors that go into this, when we talk about being a trusted source, it doesn't mean that you have to have a massive track record. I have 2 slides that I use in one of my presentations, and one of them says, question, how do I get my music out there? And the answer is get off your arse, essentially. Get off your backside. And that means going out and meeting people face to face, and not necessarily going up to them and saying, please listen to my song, because that will put them off, but just building a relationship. And you don't have to have a track record. You don't have to be a multi-million selling songwriter. You can just go up and talk to people at networking nights, open mic nights, any music business events. There's plenty of conferences that go on, and networking nights, and just talk to people and get on with them. Be a nice person. Ask them about their dog with a broken leg or whatever it may be. Just build a relationship, and then when you get back home, just email them the next day and say, hey, it was great to meet you. I hope to see you at the next event. And if you keep going to the same places that the music business people go, eventually you're just going to be part of it. They're not closing their arms around each other and say, no, this is our territory, you can't come in. They want to hear new songs, but they don't want to be absolutely just completely scattergunned with them. They want to build, they want to find new talent, they want to find new artists, they want to find new songs. So there's a ways and a means of doing it, and it's about building your own connections. You're also building your connections through Songwriting Academy as well, because when we hear great songs, like I was talking about Anthony's song that I really liked, you know, I'm going to play that to people. If it's great stuff, it will find a home. So connections, yes, go out and build your connections. Don't do the Facebook thing where you just send a video or a link to a song to somebody that you've connected with on Facebook that you don't know and say, listen to my song and tell me what you think. I had it twice this week and I've blocked both of them on Facebook because it's just rude. That's like going up to someone in a pub and just saying, will you like me? Will you follow me? It's weird. It's just not the way that we interact with people. Just say, hi, I've been listening to your songs. I really like this song that you did, and I'm a songwriter too. I just wanted to say hi. And so you're not immediately asking for something back. My other bit of advice about networking is ask people what you can do for them. If they say they're moving studio or they've got to move their office, just say, hey, look, I'm free around that time. Would you like me to help you? And that will go so far in the music business because you'll come across as a good person. As far as luck is concerned, Jonathan, they say that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So there is always a little bit of happening to meet the right person, but you've got to get out there and make sure that you do meet them, and that you just take every opportunity that you can get. One of our catchphrases, if you want to call it that, within the academy is say yes to every opportunity. Don't ever say no and just stay at home. Just go for it. Just absolutely go for anything. Even if someone says, hey, come to an open mic, you might think, oh, I don't want to listen to a bunch of singers. You might meet the person that's going to change your destiny. So say yes to every opportunity. Thanks a lot for that, Jonathan. I hope that helps. Next question, please. So this is from Steve. So if we put the song on our website, we do not put our songs on SoundCloud. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Steve. If you, I'll just reiterate again, if you're an artist, then I would absolutely have songs on a website. I'd have songs on SoundCloud. I've have my releases everywhere. But as a songwriter for other people, I don't put my songs online, full stop. Having a website, to me, I know that some songwriters do have websites, but I don't know any songwriters that have ever looked online to try and find new songwriters to work with. It's a big community, and we work with people that we've met face to face. So I hope that answers the question. I'm not quite sure what the question was, but I think that answers it. So next question, please. From Steve again. Hi, Martin. If we want to pitch a song and we don't have a trusted source, how do we go about it? Become a trusted source. I think I've covered that in that last section, Steve. You know, just get out there and meet people and be a nice person. Don't ask people what they can do for you. Ask them what you can do for them. And at some point, someone's going to say to you, hey, how come you've never sent me a song? It's like, okay, I'll send you a song. So just get out there and be part of the community. And you're doing that within the academy as well, which is great. Next question, please. Okay, this is from David Fuller. This is a longer question, so bear with me. My question is about collaboration. Awesome. Specifically, how you go about dividing up percentages when it comes to rights. I've been burned by this in the past and would like to know if you have a formula for this, or take the view that if you're actively participating, it's an equal split. I've read many different ideas on this, e.g. X% for music, X% for melody, and X for lyrics. This isn't always clear cut in my experience, as I often have input into all parts. Okay, so this for me is a really, really simple thing. Every professional songwriter that I work with, we kind of have just I guess just a tacit agreement that when we sit in a room, if there's 3 of us in a room, it's a three-way split on everything. And some people may do more track work, they may do more melody work, others will do more lyrics, but it swings and roundabouts. The simplest way and the only way that I work is by equal splits on the songs. And there have been times where somebody has literally just come into a songwriting session and brought a title and then haven't been incredibly participative in the lyric writing, for example. But if that title is a hit song title, then that goes towards making a hit. And somebody can sing one melody that can turn that song into a hit. So we don't do note counting, we don't do word counting, we don't try and apportion who did what in terms of percentages, other than this is an equal split. If you've been burnt before by this, David, then I would absolutely say, and one of our mentors is very vehement about this, that you have maybe an email, for example, that you share with everybody beforehand and saying, hey, you know, if they're strangers to you, for example, you just say, just to be clear, this is an equal split on the songwriting credits. And if somebody kicks off about it, then you might want to reconsider working with them. Similarly, if you actually just are thrust into a room with two other people, for example, then just have that conversation up front and say, hey guys, you know, we haven't worked together before. I'm assuming that you're just like me and we do it an equal split across the board. And if they say yes, then say, great, okay. And there are documents. If we haven't uploaded one already, then we can upload a document, which is a writer's share document, which means that it just says the title of the song, the date that you wrote it, the names of the writers, the publisher, if it's relevant, if you have a publisher, what the splits are, and then you will sign it. Boom, done. And that will stop any arguments in the future about who did what. So just be upfront about it. You know, anybody that would resist may not be entirely trustworthy. So I'm not saying they aren't, but be wary anyway. So equal splits across the board is my ethos, David. Great question as well. Okay, so what do we have next? This is from Cal. Hi, Cal. So, Martin, I'm currently an amateur songwriter, but I'd love to make it as a professional with lyrics as my speciality. I wanted to ask, how do I get involved with publishers to get opportunities to write with their artists or even sell my completed songs to those artists? Thanks for your help. So the whole thing about the opportunities to write with the artists and to well, in fact, the artists will actually be more the domain of the record labels, not the publishers, or even sell my completed songs to those artists. So this comes back to the networking thing that I've been talking about. Everybody thinks that somebody's going to help them for nothing, or that there's a special portal that you can access in a dark web somewhere that will open up everything to you. No, just go out and be part of the community. In terms of if you're just writing lyrics, then what you need to do is have completed songs that you have worked with people that do the music and that have created the demo as well. So again, it comes down to collaboration. Everybody's a songwriter that has anything to do with a song. So I had somebody at one of my lectures the other day say that I'm a lyricist, not a songwriter. And I had to stop them in their tracks and say, no, you're a songwriter because you create part of the song. And that's through collaboration. So you collaborate with a musician, a singer, maybe a producer, and between you, you create the finished item. After that, it's about going out there and building relationships. And even during that, you don't have to wait until you have finished songs. Because remember, when you meet people at networking, you don't want to just thrust a song into their hand or just send them a song immediately, because you want to really wait until you have a relationship with them where they're willing to listen. And so by building relationships, that's how it works. And I just want to say that I still have to do this. This isn't something that is, oh, new songwriters have got to get out there, but, you know, the older guys like me, they've got it all made for them, which is nonsense. I still have to go out and I meet new people in the business all the time. And as an example, a couple of years ago, I went out, I was sitting at home in front of a fire on a cold February night. I didn't want to go out. And it was raining and cold and dark outside. And there was a networking night on. And I finally forced myself to get up, get in the car, drive an hour into London, go to the networking night. Got chatting to a few people, and one guy, we just kind of hit it off. a guy called Danny, and we would spend ages just talking about Tom Waits. And then we sort of asked about each other, and it turns out that he was the A&R manager at Universal Records, Decca. And I told him I was a songwriter, etc. And then we built that relationship from there. And that was 3 years ago. He's now a mentor with the Academy. And that was about 3 years ago. I got a cut on an album that he was working with. He asked me to create a song for one of their artists, which I did, and I got the song released. I was the only original song on the album, which wouldn't have happened if I'd have stayed at home that night. And 2 weeks ago, I had a meeting with him again, and he played me 4 different artists that are signed and said, do you want to work with this one? I went, yeah. He said, do you want to work with this one? Yeah. This one? Yeah. This one? Yeah. And so I've got co-writes with artists now. That wouldn't have happened if I'd have stayed in that night because I didn't know Danny. So this is the key. Go out and meet people. Woody Allen said it best. He said 80% of success is showing up. End of. Great question, Cal. Thank you for that. Next question from Volker. What do you think about Taxi and Songlink? What are, from your point of view, the preconditions under which it makes sense becoming a member of one of them? So this is a good question. I know David Stark that does Songlink, and he works very hard to get opportunities to share with people through Songlink. I believe that is just a monthly membership to see the opportunities. My awareness of Taxi is that you have to pay for them to pitch your songs. For me, this feels like a bit of a tax on hope, if you like. I'm not a massive advocate of paying someone to pitch your songs. I would rather get out there and do it. And I think they must have thousands of songs that people are paying to have them pitch, and they can't be pitching all of them. So all I'm going to say is that I am not a member of Taxi. In terms of Songlink, I know David anyway, and we're kind of aware of the same opportunities. But for a while, I was a member of Songlink. So, but I don't want to say anything that could be used against me. So, yes, I think it's far better to go out and create your own relationships and find the opportunities there. And the other thing you can do is just this thing about going out. It's like, go and find the next Ed Sheeran. You know, nobody gave a damn about who he was before he was famous, except the person that found him and developed him. Even if you're an artist yourself, go out to open mics, and if you see someone that you think is great, don't think, oh, that's my competition. How am I going to beat them? No, just go up and say, hey, I love what you do. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to write with you. I'll play you some of my songs. You play me some of yours. And if you fancy it, let's hook up and do a co-write. And, you know, if you can find the next Ed Sheeran and write with him before he gets the record deal, then you are working from the ground level up. Don't just think it's about successful artists already. So I hope that answers your question. I have to be very circumspect about how I answer when it's talking about other organizations. Good. Next question. Another long question here. My mouth is getting dry. Stevie Daft Blondell. Stevie Daft Blondell. That's a name to conjure with. Do you have tips for picking back up song ideas and finishing them? I feel like I've been struggling with some kind of writer's block since I wrote my EP about 1.5 years ago. I guess the issue is that I've started dozens of songs and ideas, but I'm overwhelmed by the idea of going back and finishing anything. I often record on voice memo and then jot down the lyrics in notebooks. I keep it pretty linear and pick up where I left off. So maybe instead of writer's block, it's just an uninterest in what I'm writing or lacking motivation. Either way, I feel stuck. Help. Okay, it's like agony aunt stuff. This is a really good question. So there's a few bits to it. First of all, when you go back to an idea that you started, if you've got a load of ideas that you started, if you're not excited by what you're looking at, by that sort of that initial idea, then it's probably just something to just leave on the back burner until you're either excited by it, or it's just one of those ideas that maybe not ready to write ever. But if there's something that you really think has got some legs, you just get that gut instinct. You know, there's no formula for this. You get the gut instinct that there's something good about a song, but you don't know how to pick it back up again. I would advise you go back to the Songwriting Academy Song Planner. I do this all the time. I was driving my car the other day, and just out of the blue, this chorus just fell into my head. And so I'm singing the chorus, I'm thinking, yeah, I really like this. I sat down at a piano when I got to where I was going, and I wrote the chorus fairly quickly. And then I started trying to write the verses, and boy, did I have trouble. I just couldn't do anything. And I thought, hold on a minute, I teach the song planner here. I've got to remember that I use it too. And so I just went back to my room with a laptop, and I did the whole brainstorming thing of what I needed to say in the verses. And it all just came flooding out the next time I sat at a piano. Because I knew what I wanted to say. It's all about knowing what you want to say and then saying it, but with music. That's what songwriting is. So if you've got the song planner, doesn't mean that it has to be from the very birth of a song, because sometimes we get these ideas that, you know, they come to us almost fully formed or half formed, or we get a chorus or we get a verse. We get the whole sort of idea of what it should sound like in our heads, but then we get stuck. You can still go back to the song planner, look at your lyrical theme, and then say, okay, I'm going to brainstorm all these ideas. I'm going to find new ways of saying what I want to say. Then the key part is planning your song, verse, by chorus, by pre-chorus, by middle eight, however many sections you've got in your song. It's about writing a little note, not a lyric, writing a note about what you want to say in your song, and in that portion of the song, plundering all of the ammunition that you've gathered in your brainstorming, and then putting it into place, and then going through that process. Then the crafting, once you've got everything in place, the crafting, trying new melodies, trying to change the melodies, trying to edit that lyric until it's absolutely spot on. But if you plan any song, no matter how much of it you've got already, if you plan it out, then you'll never get writer's block. But so many people think it should just go on gut instinct. Oh, it'll come to me eventually. And often it doesn't. They're what I call the meanderers. They'll just hope for the best. But the song planner and actually planning each section out will save your thing many times over and over. So that's my advice, Stevie. Just go back to the song planner and be patient with it, and it will come to you. You will save hours by planning it out properly and doing the brainstorming. Great question though, love it. Bill McDonald, I have a bag of useful things to create a good song. Oh, I wish I had one of those. Titles, words, chords, things I wrote and thought was crap, but I was told one time crap makes good fertilizer, so I keep them. But my question is, how do I put all these things I have in my bag to create a wonderful song? I think we're going back to exactly the same answer that we had on the last question. It's about strategy. It's about planning your song and just saying, I know what I want to say in every portion of the song, and this is where I'll put this great title. These chords might be great here, but allowing them to change later if the song tells you to change them. But by planning it out, you will be able to get all of that bag of goodies and then use them once you know what you want to say with your song. Use the TSA, the Songwriting Academy Song Planner, and you will never ever worry what to do with all of these bits and pieces. You'll never get writer's block. And again, be patient, let it happen, and allow yourself time to ruminate on what you're doing, and then come back to it again and again. So that's my advice, Bill, the song planner. Next question, please. This is from Sylvia. Is there a way to track if your song sounds similar to anyone else's song? Like there are millions of songs, and when you write a song, how do you make sure that you haven't been subconsciously influenced by a song you've heard so much that your song sounds too similar to theirs? It's a great question, Sylvia. I love this question. There used to be an app called something like Soundhog or something like that, where you could sing a melody in and it would tell you if there were melodies similar. I don't think it exists anymore. If there is one, I'd love to know about it. But we are always going to be influenced by what we've listened to. There's only X amount of notes, and although millions of permutations of it, and many songs sound very similar to each other. The only time to worry about it, I guess, is when you play it to people and they say, oh, hold on, it sounds just like that. And if they're right, you might want to change a note here or there so it's not a direct lift. But the whole area of plagiarism in the courts has been an ever-changing one. It used to be if there were 7 consecutive notes, and now, of course, with the Marvin Gaye case, it was about stealing a vibe. You know, it was about plagiarizing a vibe. But it's often about intention, because they listened to the Marvin Gaye track and they based their production on that. And so there was an intention to recreate that. And if you listen to a melody and your intention is to copy it, then that's plagiarism. If you accidentally copy it, then that's less of a case in the courts. But just be diligent about it and play it to people and wonder if it, and ask them if it sounds familiar to them. And if enough people say, oh, hold on a minute, it sounds just like that, and you go back to a song and you realize that it does, then, like I say, make a few small changes to it. So just to avoid any kind of plagiarism cases. I'm just going to go off on a bit of a tangent here for a moment, because I love this theory. There's a theory from quantum physicists that I read in New Scientist about the universe, according to them, has existed an infinite number of times. And because infinity means an infinite number of possibilities, that we have actually we've lived this life an infinite number of times before. And they were saying that when a musician creates a piece of music and it sounds familiar, it's because it's because the musician has created it before. I don't know if I subscribe to this theory, but I think it's a lovely thought. And sometimes I just sit in a songwriting session and I'll just look up, and instead of trying to create a song, I'll try and remember it. And that's often when the floodgates open for me. It's an interesting technique to try. Have some fun with it. Just imagine the record already exists, which, according to quantum physicists, it has in a previous universe. Bear with me. And just imagine it already exists and listen to it and then say, okay, that's my song. See if it works for you. But interesting thing, it's plagiarizing yourself, but from a different universe, which is really wild. Okay, but anyway, Sylvia, I hope that answers your question about it. I don't think there's an app for it, but if it sounds too similar to something that you suddenly realize already exists, change a few notes. If it's a lyric, then change some of the lyric as well. We never intentionally copy, but sometimes it happens accidentally. So this is a question from Chet from Florida. Hi, Chet. When it comes to selling songs, what is the standard for pay? Royalties, fees, mixture of both, etc. What's reasonable to expect? This is one of those questions. It's a how long is a piece of string? Different radio stations. Well, first of all, you don't actually sell a song. I often hear this term about selling songs. So, for example, if I write a song today and I pitch that song to Universal Records and they decide that they want their artist to perform that song, they don't give me any money for that. If, however, I've produced the track and they say, oh, we'd love to use the track that you produced or some of that track for the record, then I own the master rights to this song, which is different to the publishing rights. I own the master rights to this song because I'm the creator of the actual recording. And so by law, they have to pay me for those. And so we negotiate a fee for them to buy the track from me or even portions of that track from me. So we'll negotiate a rate for that. And that's the only time that you'll get a fee, unless it happens to be I once did a track wrote and produced a track for a Russian artist, and this was before Russia had any kind of royalty collection agencies, and they just gave us cash to write the song and to cover any royalties that it might have earned in the future. So they just gave us some cash to do that, which was quite amusing. They wanted to bring it across in a paper bag, but I said, no, I think you better pay it into my account. But anyway, so in terms of selling songs, we don't physically nobody physically parts with money when they agree to record your song. But when it comes to royalties, first of all, you'll get royalties from the record sales, and that's only going to depend on how much it sells. If it's in a country where physical product is still prevalent, I think Germany, it's about 40% of music is still physical. In South Korea and some of the other Asian countries, it's very big. South Korea, they still buy a massive amount of physical product, CDs, DVDs. But so many of us now consume music on Spotify that we will get royalties from each time it gets a play on Spotify. And so the rates are going up on Spotify, but it's still 0.0001 of a cent per spin. But if you get millions of spins, then it starts to add up quite nicely. The great sources of money for this, if it's used for a film, then they will probably give you a buyout fee for that, for the master rights and the publishing. And so you will get a fee, but that can vary. It can be anything from $1,000, $500, $1,000 up to $100,000, depending on what the project is. In terms of radio play, certainly in the UK, the radio play over here for Radio 1, which is our biggest pop station, the younger bracket, that's actually just gone down recently. It's somewhere around £55, I think, for each time it gets played on the radio. Radio 2 is closer to about £80, £82, I believe, for each time it gets played on the radio. But they do it on a per minute basis. So if they only play a minute of it just before the news, then you only get that minute's worth. So like I say, I think on BBC Radio 1, I think it's £22 a minute, something like that. So those are the big radio stations, but smaller radio stations, you don't get a per spin. They will pay a blanket fee to what we call a PRO, the Performing Rights Organization. They will pay a blanket fee across the year, and occasionally they will get sampled by that Performing Rights Organization, and they will see what songs they're playing, and they will try and apportion it evenly to your song if your song has been released and it's been played elsewhere. So they probably have very great algorithms to work all of this out. Internet radio stations, considerably less. So there is no one kind of fee. What I will say is that I treat every song, I always think of it as what they earn as drops in a bucket. So some songs are going to go out there and they might earn £10, $10. Other songs will go out there and maybe earn $10,000 or $100,000. But if you've got lots of songs out there and they're all getting spins on Spotify and they're getting the occasional radio play, then it all starts adding up. So this is just, I don't want people to be put off by thinking about the money. Get your songs out there, and the more songs you get out there, the more your overall royalty check will increase every time you do it. So there is no reasonable to expect figure for this. It all depends on how popular the song is. Sorry I can't be more accurate, Chet, but that's how the music business is. Next question. Richard, what are the chances of getting a demo heard if it has been a home-produced working demo? Alternatively, does a demo need to be broadcast quality to be heard? Okay, this is a great question, and one that I get asked a lot. You know, what sort of quality does it need to be? I will tell you this, that if a publisher hears a song, and a publisher that I know, she said that if a song sounds amateur within the first 5 seconds, she'll switch it off, because they're used to hearing songs that are very, very well recorded. That doesn't mean that you need to spend thousands getting the Welsh Male Voice Choir and the London Philharmonic Orchestra to come and play on your demo. But it does mean that even if you do a piano and a vocal demo for an artist, let's say you want to pitch it to Michael Bublé and you've got a piano and a vocal, first of all, that piano needs to be played really well. And it needs to be a beautiful piano sample, not just some shonky thing that you got for £5 online. Excuse me a moment. Still suffering from the cold. So the piano needs to be a great piano sound, and it needs to be played really well. And the vocal is king. If you're presuming that you have a vocal on your song, if it's not just an instrumental, vocal is king. So first of all, the vocal needs to be in tune. It needs to be in time. And I know it probably sounds really obvious to say it, but trust me, I've heard demos where people are singing out of tune and they haven't bothered to actually go back and get it right, or use software that will tune it effectively. So it's got to be in tune, in time, and it's got to have that authenticity to it. It's got to be a believable vocal. So you might be able to sing, but you may not be the best person to sing any song particularly that you've written. You know, if there's somebody that can really deliver that, it's worth spending money on to get a great, believable performance where it's not just singing the notes and in time. It's not that. It's about getting something that moves the listener. So so that's the first thing. Whatever you do record, make sure it's really well recorded. And even if it's just a piano and a vocal, or a guitar and a vocal, if it's an acoustic guitar, don't plug it in. If it's acoustic electric, put microphones in front of it so it's a beautiful sounding acoustic guitar, because people won't listen to it if it sounds amateur. I had somebody sent me a demo that they'd gone to a big studio and they said, here's my demo. By the way, sorry about the out of tune guitar. It had new strings on it. And I was astonished that they would even do this and not go back in and re-record the guitar. So, you know, just leave nothing to chance. Danny Roberts at Decca said that he had somebody send him a demo saying, sorry about the bass dropping out of 15 seconds. It was a digital glitch. Well, you know what? That just says you don't care. So go back in and fix it, fix the digital glitch, and don't apologize for your demo, because you shouldn't need to beforehand. If you're pitching for something like a boy band, unless it's a sort of a ballad that requires the piano and the vocal, and that's enough. If it's an up-tempo thing, then you need to think about making something that sounds close to what would work for a boy band. So we're talking about, you know, with loops and drums and effects and synths, whatever it is, depending on the boy band, as an example. But do whatever you can to make people fall in love with your demo. My goal when I make demos is to have people fall in love with what I've created. I don't necessarily want to, if I'm pitching for, let's say that I pitched a song to Kylie Minogue, I don't necessarily want it to even sound like Kylie Minogue. I just want everybody that hears that song, I serve the demo, I serve the song. So I want everybody that hears that demo to say, oh my God, I love this song. I'll do my version of it. So I'm not just trying to copy what's already been done by that artist. And this is something that has really worked for me, with people just saying, I love this song, I'll do my version of it. And so yeah, get it close to broadcast quality, which is not hard. You know, you see the size of this room. I've made records in here for Celine Dion, for Andrew Lloyd Webber, for Kim Wilde, Des'ree, loads of artists. I've made records in here. You don't need to spend tens of thousands of pounds to get a good quality setup to make your demos, but you do need to be patient. You need to be diligent, and you need to use these and you need to use this, and get people to fall in love with your demo. So be as loving with your demos as you are with the songwriting process. If you can't do it, then go to a producer that can do it. But think of it as an investment. Just think of it as an investment, and every song is a lottery ticket. So make sure the song is the very, very best it can be before you invest money paying someone else to produce your demo, make sure that song is flawless, because you don't want to be going back and having to change something after it's been demoed. So always make sure the raw product is great. Then if you love that song and you believe in it, you'll spend the money. Otherwise, you're going to get nothing. Just from and don't sing into your laptop with a little USB mic. Get good quality. Cool. Next question. So this question is from Matt, the Second Spirit. Hey, Martin, do you ever swap your verses and choruses? I always tend to like my verse melodies more than my choruses. Maybe that's because of their roles in the song. The chorus being more repetitive and such. The other day, I thought I really liked my verse and wished it was the part people would sing over and over instead of the chorus. I thought about swapping them around. Have you had any experiences like that? Yeah, I have actually. But what happened with me, Matt, is that it was the other way around. I wrote something. I was with two writers, Mark Smith, who is a wonderful German songwriter and producer, and Ian Dench, who wrote You're Unbelievable. And he wrote Beautiful Life for Beyonce and Shakira. So we came up with this great section. And I was going, oh, that's great. What a great chorus. And they both looked at me and went, no, that's a verse. I was like, but it's so good. You know what they said? Yeah, it is. Now let's write an even better chorus. So if you've got verses that you think are great, then your job is to work harder at getting an even better chorus. And if you go into my course about choruses and hooks, you'll see a load of techniques in there that will help you write a great chorus. And it's about knowing what you want to say, taking the melody up there, making it the high point of the song, giving people a mountaintop, giving them hooks, things that they can remember. So have a look at that course, and that will take you right through how to write great choruses and hooks. But if you've got great verses, fantastic. That means you can write an even better chorus. Don't say, okay, well, I'll make that the chorus then, and I'll have verses that aren't as good as this. That's just settling. And we never settle. If you say, oh, that's good enough, it's never good enough. Everything has got to be, you've got to be punching the air about everything. And if you're not coming up with choruses that you like enough, then you just haven't taken it far enough. Be patient. Try loads of different things. Try stuff that you never would normally try, and it will happen for you. You'll get what I call the rush, where you get the hairs standing up on the back of your neck, or you get the lump in your throat. You're dancing around the studio. You get the rush where you go, oh my God, that's fantastic. So, but stick with it. The 100% songs are the ones that are making it. So I love the fact you love your verses. Now write me an even better chorus. Cool. Great question. I like that. So question 12. Wow, we're going. Brent Halfyard, fantastic name. Hi, Martin. You said not to post songs if pitching to artists, but Rick Barker and a publisher in Nashville both told me to post songs as much as I can for traction. If an artist wants your song, they want it. They don't care, as I'm virtually unknown. If picked up, maybe I'd be asked to pull the song video or postings from other sites. What's your reasoning and personal experiences with that? Well, I think I've mentioned this earlier. I think I've covered it, but my reasoning is that I've had briefs come through from record labels to say they won't take a song if it's already been out on the internet. They consider that it would then be a cover version that they're doing, and they want, essentially, they want, for want of a better expression, they want virgin songs. And so, but you know what? This is just my opinion. If Rick Barker and a Nashville publisher are saying put them up all over the place, then you make your choices. But I don't tend to do that. For me, the people that are looking online are not publishers, and they're not record labels. But maybe it's worked differently for these guys. But I guess opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody has one, and they're all different. So yeah, that's my answer, Brent. Yeah. Because I've been told that they won't accept songs, certain labels. Tom Calvert, when I'm writing songs on my own, I'm not too precious about my ideas and happy to throw them away for something better. Awesome. But when I'm writing with other people, I'm a bit touchy with when other people don't like my ideas or don't want to keep them in the song. Do you have any advice? This is really important. Do you have any advice, or is it just get over yourself? I'd love to hear any thoughts about writing with others and getting in a vibe with them. Tom, this is something that I've experienced when mentoring lots and lots of co-writes. It's absolutely essential that you can let go of stuff. When you come up with an idea in a collaboration, let's say you're in with 2 other people and you come up with an idea that you think is great, and you tell it to those 2 other people. If they don't punch the air and go, wow, that's amazing, don't take it personally, because this is your audience. This is your first audience of the song. And if the people in the room aren't getting excited about it, what chance have you got of the general public liking it? The successful collaborators, in my opinion, are the ones that we have a philosophy in the Academy for co-writing, which is accept and build. So every idea that's put forward, people will say, okay, let's put that down. It could also be this. So decisions aren't made too quickly on anything, because an hour or 2 later, they might come back and go, oh, what was that idea of yours again? Actually, it was good. So it's about recording everything that you do and writing down all of the ideas, and being a good person. If somebody turns around to you and says, nah, that's not very good, then they're not a very good collaborator. And I would probably stray away from them, unless you're mates and you can talk to each other like that. But if people don't like your idea, then don't take it personally. Just see it as a challenge to come up with something even better, because they're listening to your idea as the audience, as the listener, and they don't have that same emotional attachment to it that you do. So absolutely, it is a bit kind of get over yourself, and just accept it. I'll give an example of one guy that really didn't take it well in one of our collaborations that I went into. I was mentoring the session, and I walked in 20 minutes into the collaboration, and he'd been coming up with ideas, and another chap at the table wasn't particularly enamored with his ideas, but he wasn't saying no. He was just going, okay, well, he wasn't being enthusiastic. And I believe it's down to insecurity that the first guy took umbrage at this. He got really upset about it. The secure writer will go, oh, okay, cool, let me come up with something better. The insecure writer will be offended that somebody doesn't like their, how can you possibly not like my idea? What this guy did, when I went in 20 minutes into the songwriting session, he was standing at the table looking at this other guy going, there you go, being passive aggressive again. And at which point the collaboration was falling apart, because it's entered into an argument. Leave your ego at the door. Everybody should leave their ego at the door. It's not a competition to see who can come up with the best line, whether it be a lyrical line or a melodic line or a harmonic idea. It's not a competition. This is a collaboration. You can have a collective ego where you're saying, hey team, aren't we awesome? This is great. Oh, we love this. You can have a collective ego, but your individual egos should be checked in at the door and left in the cloakroom, and you bring your ticket in. So don't take it personally. Just take it as a hint to come up with something even better. That's what I've done in every collaboration. If somebody doesn't like a line, I'm thinking, oh, I want to make them love something. How can and I will try and come up with something even better. It raises the bar for me, and it made me a better songwriter very, very quickly, instead of arguing the point. So yeah, get over yourself. Yeah. Nice one, Tom. Thank you for that. Okay. Question 14, Doug. I write praise and worship songs. I'm struggling with the best way to apply the 7-step song plan and would appreciate any advice that you think could help. Also concerning the 4 emotions, fight, getting it on, dance or crying, I'm not sure what category praise and worship music fits into. Okay, good question. Could it be dance? Are there any others that would work? So for me, there is that other category, which is like a message song. And I've written many, many message songs. Just listen to Everybody's Someone by Leanne Rimes, and you'll see that that's a message song. It's not a praise and worship song, but it's a message song, just saying, hey, you know what, everybody's important. There's another song of mine called Heaven's Table by an artist called Garou, Garou. And Heaven's Table is about not all of the angels sit at heaven's table. Some of them are down here doing, they're living and they're doing great things for other people, saving people's lives, helping people out. And so those are message songs, and I love writing message songs. It's just part of, I guess, my kind of hippie ways. But the song planner absolutely works in this way too, especially with message songs, because if you know what you want to say, let's say with Everybody's Someone, I know my chorus is going to be saying everybody's someone and then describing who. So it's, hey, everybody's someone, no matter where you come from, there's light in every single star. You're more than who you think you are. That's the first half of the chorus. So it's basically saying, you know what, you're special. Everybody is special and you're one of those special people. But the verse I wanted to set up as a guy sort of saying, hey, you know what, I don't feel that great about myself. It's just the same old every day, and nobody seems to look at each other, and I feel ordinary. And that's what the whole portion of the idea, the concept of the verses was going to be, which as a song planner, that would have said verse 1, this is my day today. Verse 2, you know, nobody seems to look at each other. And then the little pre-chorus is, you know, they feel so ordinary, I feel so ordinary. And then the chorus says, is the hope, where it says, hey, everybody's someone, no matter where you come from. And that would have all been planned out as the song planner. And so the song planner works in any kind of genre of music. This isn't for pop. It works in any genre of music. The fight, getting it on, dance and crying, the reason I brought those up, those are the 4 big, strong emotions. But of course, when we hear, if we're talking about praise and worship, yes, this is a very strong emotion. And I guess it's almost like, I guess it's a love song, because love doesn't have to be love for a partner. It can be love for, it can be a faith song. It can be love for God. It can be love for one's fellow man. So it can be, there are many, many different types of love. And in fact, the Greeks have 5 words for love. And before you're thinking of writing it, I've written a song called 1,000 Words for Love. So just putting it out there. But so don't worry about what kind of category it comes on. If it's making you feel a really strong emotion when you're writing it, then the chances are when you play it to your audience, then it will create a strong emotion in them. If it's not, then you might want to work a little harder at it until it does, until you know what you want to say. But know what you want to say it clearly, have the point of the song in the chorus via the song planner, and it will all fall into place. So don't worry about the category, just write a great song. It will, and if it's moving you strongly, then it will move other people strongly as well. So thank you for that. Okay, Sylvia again. Hi again, Sylvia. Have you ever attended or hosted physical songwriting retreats? Is it beneficial, or do artists get too distracted by the new environment? Great question. And I have to tell you that we are having a Songwriting Academy retreat. In fact, I'm off next week. And we rent an entire village in Spain for there's 14 houses, beautiful place in Andalusia in Spain. We rent the entire village and we fill it with 36 songwriters, and 4 of them are multi-million selling songwriters there to mentor other people. And this is taking it all to a new level. And so what we do is every day you're in a different group of 3 people. I've hosted 15, 16 of these now. And so every day people are in a different group of 3, and during the week everybody gets to write with a multi-million selling songwriter, and that is it's not distracting at all. It has the opposite effect, because we're removed from life, society, half the time mobile phones. We find that people are incredibly focused. We're in an environment where there's no distractions, there's no tourists, there's no fun fairs. We're out in the middle of the mountains, and the focus is incredible there. The songs that are written there are absolutely stunning. and better than I've heard at what people call professional writing camps held by music publishers and record labels. And it's remarkable, breathtaking how good the songs are, because with the mentoring, people are actually working much harder to write the very best song. And because of the mentoring, they're helping lift the quality of the song as well. So absolutely, we've so April is the April retreat is happening next week, and so I'm going away to Spain for a week. It's a tough life. And excuse me, we have another retreat in June, which is the 9th to the 16th of June. So if anybody wants to find out more about that, then absolutely just drop me a message, and I'll be able to give you details about that. But it is a magical experience. Later on this year, and possibly next year, later on this year, we'll be holding a retreat in the Catskills, just outside New York. And then next year, another venue is going to be Marrakesh as we expand around the world. So yes, there's plenty of opportunity for anybody that wants to come. They are incredibly beneficial, mostly because the focus of everybody is there to do a job, but also because we leave behind all of those toxic people that are saying, you can't do this, go and get a proper job, or, oh, well, you're still doing the songwriting, good for you, still doing the music, those passive aggressive ones that don't want to see you succeed. Everybody wants everybody to succeed in the Songwriting Academy, and that's what I'm so proud of. So do hit me up about the retreats, and I'll be happy to give you more details on that. But I can honestly say that probably everybody that goes on it at the end of the week says it's been life-changing, and there are often tears when people go home. So yes, beneficial, and yes, amazing. Thank you, Sylvia. Next question. Sergey, when you have a song written, do you register it with a PRO right away, or do you do that on release of the song by an artist? Thanks. Great question. I know many writers that do register the songs immediately, and writers that are signed to publishing companies. The publishers have to stay on top of every song that's been written by their artist. And so just doing that diligently is probably the best thing. But I have to say, from my perspective, I tend to wait until I get action on the song, and then I'll register it. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes I'll have a flurry and just think, oh, you know what, I'll register all of those songs that I've written recently, and I'll sort of have a little flurry of it. But I'm a bit naughty, and I register the song when it's about to get released. It's probably a bit silly, because you never know when a song is randomly going to be picked up by you know, a little radio station somewhere, or get played at a concert somewhere where it's been where they write down all of the songs that have been performed. So my advice would be to register them straight away. You've got nothing to lose by doing that. And a PRO, for those of you that are either late on the call or don't know, a PRO is a performing rights organization. They're the people that will pay your royalties for you when a song gets performed. Good question, Sergey. Helena. Hi, Martin. I'm thinking of doing YouTube videos covering already well-known songs, maybe just one or two like the following, but I want to change some lyrics but keep the melody, still acknowledging it's obviously original writer's song. So change the lyrics but keep the melody. Okay. For example, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but ending with so have I instead of why can't I? What or whose permission would I need to get to be able to do this legally, or maybe even release it as a cover? Weird question. I haven't been asked this before. As far as I know, you can do a version of any song. There are people that have done parody songs on YouTube and have just put them out there. The important thing is that the original writers of the song get paid by YouTube. You can't claim any of the publishing by rewriting the lyrics. The original authors of the song and composers of the song have to be paid for that. So by you changing it, it doesn't really affect it. Once a song has been officially released, then they call it public domain, and anybody is allowed to do a cover of that song. If you then change it around a bit, I don't think as long as it doesn't affect the writing royalties, then as far as I know, it doesn't stop you from doing it. I think you can do that. If you look at there was the Hawaiian guy with the ukulele, that did a copy of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and he gets the words in completely the wrong order. But it's adorable, but it's out there. So I guess it's okay to do that, but don't take my word as testament. Interesting. I'll do a little bit more research into that and see if I can find out more about it, Helena. But good question, and good luck with the covers. Next question, please. By the way, I've just noticed somebody saying, Razvan, I'll be in Bucharest this week, want to write together. That's 2 people hooking up on a co-write because of the Songwriting Academy. How awesome is that? Yes, in Bucharest. Yeah, I'd love to go there. So this is from a wonderful songwriter in the UK, Gemma Burr. You guys need to really listen to Gemma Burr. If someone asks you if you would like to do vocals on their song that they would like to pitch, they would like to do vocals on, ask you if you would like to do vocals on the song that they would like to pitch. Do you get royalties from this if the song is accepted, or is it better to charge a fee for the vocals to be on the song to pitch, even if you're not going to get any royalties? I think what you're asking here is, Gemma, that you'll be the session vocalist. So no, you don't get, the singer of a demo does not get any royalties. If you were, however, to suggest a completely different verse lyric or a completely different melody that the writer hadn't thought of, and they go, oh, that's great, they may turn around and say, well, you're now a co-writer on the song, and so you could get royalties on that. But when I hire session singers, it's called I believe one way of saying it is work for hire. So what we do is I pay them a fee to just come along and sing the song, and to extemporize and do ad-libs and stuff that necessarily I hadn't thought of, but they don't get any royalties for creating these little motifs or ad-libs. Even if I use one as a hook, they've been paid to do that job, and it's a set fee, and so they don't have any claim on the royalties. If you do end up in a co-write situation where you suggest so many changes and the writer says, well, you're now a co-writer on it, remember that because you're a co-writer, then really you shouldn't be getting paid for doing the singing. So yes, it's a better idea just to charge a fee, get paid for the singing, go home and buy yourself a nice meal with the proceeds. So yeah, no royalties. Next question. Wow, I'm getting a dry throat here. This is a question from Jeff. Martin, you have made the transition from being a player to a writer. How did you cross the gap from doing something you were good at to something you were from something you were good at to something you were a lousy rank beginner? It's holding me back because it's really hard to sit down and do something you're lousy at. Any advice from your personal experience? Transition from being a player to a writer. Well, in fact, I was a writer from the very beginning. It's just that my songs weren't that great. And so I had to work hard and make lots of mistakes that you guys now don't have to make, because we're putting all of this stuff into our courses to help you go much faster than I did, to progress much faster than I did. So yes, if you're writing songs that you're not particularly proud of, or if you are doing something that you don't think you're that great at, anything, and this is just a life thing, then it's practice. It's working and working. And I would honestly say that if it's a songwriting thing, if you're just not happy with your songs, or if you are someone that is a player but wants to become a writer, then follow the songwriting planner, the song planner, step by step, and it will take you there. It works. I still use it over and over and over again, and because it works. So just follow that, but do it over and over again. And if there's any songs, first of all, I would also say, don't judge yourself as being lousy, because you know what that does? That immediately just says, I'm not any good at this. And the mind just says, well, don't do it. The way to look at it is, if you write a song that you are not particularly proud of, then just say, okay, well, that's a start. The next one I want to make even better. This is a whole mindset thing. The thing that gets in the way of songwriters more than anything else is themselves, because they judge themselves. And I've seen people do it in co-writes where they go to say something, and even before they've said it, they go, and they'll put their hand over their mouth because they're judging themselves. Don't do it. I've got loads and loads of songs that I wouldn't play to any of you guys that I wrote in the early years, and even some more recently that I really wouldn't play to you, but I had to get them out of my system. But I call these songs stepping stone songs, because they're getting me on the way to the songs that are going to be killer. One thing's for sure is, if you don't go through this, if you expect every song to be a hit, then you're going to be disappointed. Expectation is disappointment waiting to happen. So just enjoy the process, just enjoy the writing process, and say, well, that was good fun. I don't know if this song's any good or not, but I want to do it again. I'm going to write another song. And you'll start getting the songs where you suddenly get the rush and you think, oh, this is special. Ed Sheeran talks about it in terms of turning on a tap, an old rusty tap that hasn't been used for years. And he says, you turn it on, and all of the brackish, all that nasty brown water comes out, and then eventually the clean water comes out. And that's how he describes songwriting. And he's had a few hits along the way. So don't judge your songs, because it will make you start judging yourself. So just see them as stepping stone songs, see them as the dirty water gradually getting cleaner, but keep doing it over and over again because you love it. Do it because you love it, and you will write great songs. And use the song planner. Please trust me on this. It works. So Jeff, keep your head held high. Don't judge yourself too much. Enjoy the process and keep doing it over and over again. Good. Next. Brent, how do I increase Spotify plays? I have an EP on there and is getting some plays. Is there a strategy specifically for Spotify? This is not my area of expertise, Brent, but if you email our moderator, then a Q&A, then I will have a look into this. We are going to have somebody that's going to be doing a business course on here within the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks that we're going to put up. And this guy knows the music business inside out. There are things that the one thing that I can think of is trying to sometimes by adding other people to your playlists, they might be pleased that that they've been added to your playlist, and they may add you to theirs. But in terms of the strategy with Spotify, I'm not an expert on this, so I don't want to give you a bum steer here and send you in the wrong direction. But please do email us, and I'll have one of our mentors look into this for you. Okay. Thanks, Brent. And the next question, we've got about 3 minutes left, so this will probably be the last question because I talk a lot. Helena again. Sorry, you've probably answered this before. How do you back up your songs for protection? This is a great question. I haven't answered it. From accidental loss or damage, is it just an external hard drive to back up on your laptop and iTunes or clouds? Okay, I've got a great answer to this one, and it's twofold. First of all, I have everything backed up. I use a Mac, so I have everything backed up to a Time Machine. So everything is on a separate hard drive if the Mac crashes. But secondly, the thing that I do is I use, and I get no money for mentioning this company, but I use a cloud company called Backblaze. And excuse me, and Backblaze, I think they're based in Silicon Valley. And what I believe the rate currently is $10 per month per computer. I think it's 10, it used to be 5, it might be $10 a month. And what it does, it uploads it overnight, and it uploads it in the background while you're working as well. And so you just set it to upload everything that you do. So every time I walk away from my computer, I know that it's automatically uploading to the cloud somewhere, and you can recover stuff off there. I don't trust that I don't trust enough that it's just enough to put it on a hard drive, because if my house goes up in flames and it's an inferno here, then not only do I lose the Mac, but I lose the hard drive as well. And if I lose that, I'm done. So I've not only got all of my songs backed up onto Backblaze. There are other cloud services available. I think I'm probably legally supposed to say something like that. So do have a look at them. But certainly with Backblaze, I've got all of my samples backed up on there. You know, hundreds of thousands of samples and loops, etc. I've got everything that is on my Mac system is backed up to the cloud through this. So I know that even if I lost all of that, I would still have all of my samples that I could just recover off there. So yes, this is your insurance. Treat it very, very seriously. I'm really pleased you asked this question, Helena, and it's a great way to finish off this Q&A. I'm sorry if we haven't had time to answer your question. We've had a ton of people on here. Excuse me. We've had a ton of people on here, and it's so great to see everybody just taking part. What's really warmed my heart is seeing people organizing co-writes. I've been having a look at the feed as it goes through, and people arranging co-writes with each other. Hey, I'm going to be in Bucharest. Do you want to do a co-write? Because you know that you're going to be working with someone that's just like you. So make these connections, everybody. Make these connections around the world. And if you know songwriters that you think would benefit from the Songwriting Academy, get them on board, because the more people we have, the quicker this community grows and the more everybody wins. And at the rate that it's at, it's a no-brainer. There's no other organization that offers what we offer for such a low price. And so, you know, this is because I want to build this community right around the world. And I love you guys for being on here. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for being so interactive with the whole thing. It's a real pleasure to do these Q&A webinars. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned tons. There's going to be a replay video available on the Academy. So I will see you in 2 weeks' time. I'm going off to Spain next week for the retreat. Don't forget to email me if you want to find more about that. And I will see you in 2 weeks' time, probably even redder in the face than I am now, which is pretty red. So have a great time, everybody. Write some songs, be awesome, and keep working at those. Don't settle. Be the very, very best that you can be. Be awesome. Take care now, and I'll see you later.